Good morning, librarians. A very warm welcome to all present here, LIASA members and non-LIASA members. It is a great pleasure to have you all here today to celebrate this event. A special welcome to our guest speaker, Dr. M.G. Mujapilu. It is an honor to be graced by the presence of such accomplished scholar. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, you are once welcome, and I will ask Dr. M.G. Voloka to render the purpose of this event. Before I ask Dr. Voloka to render this, the purpose of this event, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm the AS Chair-elect of Limpopo branch, LIASA Limpopo branch. Over to you, Dr. Voloka. You can render the purpose of this event.
Thank you, Chendo, and good morning, colleagues. You are all welcome to this gathering, and we really appreciate your presence today as we will be celebrating our Librarians Day in Style. We have actually gathered here to celebrate the crucial roles that libraries as well as the librarians play in our society. We want to reflect on the importance of reading in rural communities because we are all actually based in Limpopo, and we will talk about the challenges that we are facing in libraries and see how to resolve those challenges, because we have qualified librarians in our midst who will actually engage our today's guest speaker. And in the process, we'll be seeing how to improve here and there, how to ensure that people have access to information regardless of load shedding, regardless of the location, because we know our libraries are scattered and there are a lot of communities that actually do not have access to libraries due to the distance to and from those libraries. So you are warm welcomed here, and I hope you are going to have a fruitful engagement. Thank you so much. Over to you, Dr. Ndo. Dr. Ndo.
Thank you, Dr. Voloka. Thank you very much. I'm afraid that some of us will be affected by the load shedding, so I'll try to speed up our program or our agenda. So as is projected, our agenda is projected on our screens. I will now ask Mr. Malibana to introduce our guest speaker. And I'm so sorry for jumping before the gun by mentioning the name. I'm sorry for that. Mr. Malibana, please kindly introduce our guest speaker.
Thank you very much, Chair-elect Dr. Ndo. Sorry?
I was just saying over to you, Mr. Malibana.
Okay, thank you very much, Chair-elect and Program Director, Dr. Ndo. Greetings to LIASA Limpopo Exco, LIASA members, and our attendees in presence. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My role here is very brief and straight to the point. It is to introduce our keynote speaker. Our keynote speaker is currently working as a lecturer in the Department of Information Science at the University of South Africa, UNISA. His work at UNISA is centered around the following key performance areas: teaching and learning, community engagement, academic citizenship, and research. He completed PhD in information science under the following research topic: implementation of freedom of information legislation in South Africa and Zimbabwe. The areas of his research interest include freedom of information, open data, digital data curation, archival advocacy, and public programming. He is a young academic who has so far published 9 articles in peer-reviewed journals and 1 book chapter. He is regularly invited to review papers for local and international journals. In 2019, he successfully completed the Young Academic Program, which was facilitated by UNISA Department of Human Resource Development. The program gave him an exposure in various aspects of academia and thoroughly prepared him to engage in rigorous academic activities within and outside UNISA. In 2021, he participated in International Council on Archives, New Professional Programs, ICA. His participation in the ICP NPP made him more interested to initiate debates about structured mentorship programs within Eastern and Southern region. He is one of our own, and ladies and gentlemen, please assist me in welcoming our keynote speaker, the one and only Dr. Makutla Mojapelo.
Good morning, everyone. If you can just give me an indication if I'm audible, please.
Yes, you are audible, my good doctor.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Malebana, for such a kind introduction. And also thank you to the organizers of this event. And special thanks to the executive committee of LIASA in Limpopo, and also the librarians across the country. I've prepared a presentation for today's event. So I'm just going to kindly ask, thank you. I see you have removed the slide so that I can share the presentation on my side. Let me see. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, Doc.
Yes.
Oh, thank you so much. Let me put it on presentation mode. Thank you so much, colleagues, once again. When I was approached to come here and be the guest speaker, I was actually not so sure in terms of what I can cover for the purpose of this event, but I've managed to put something together so that we can, share some of our, experiences and the interesting stories that we are doing at our respective libraries. I must say this is a special event, and I am very delighted and honored for me to be here to address you on this important topic in relation to open government. So the title of my presentation is "The Libraries in the Era of Open Government. Can the librarians be participants or the spectators?" My name is Makutla Japelo, and I'm based at the University of South Africa. So for the purpose of our engagement, this is the topic that I'll be covering for the purpose of today. Firstly, I will just set the scene by highlighting the introduction. And then secondly, I will talk about the conceptual underpinning. And then we will just get some definition on open government as to what is it and what it entails. And then I will provide the context and the problem. And we'll also have some few questions just for us to reflect as we celebrate this important event. And also we'll talk about the way forward. And of course, there will always be challenges. And it's important that we reflect on those challenges and try to come up with solutions as to how these challenges will be addressed. All right. So as part of the introduction and the setting of the scene, you know, the library concept cannot be separated from access to information. So obviously, if you are a librarian, it doesn't matter in what kind of libraries are you based. You are a champion of access to information. And there's a whole lot of things that people can benefit from getting access to that particular information. So also, it's very much important for us to understand that the libraries, they play a role in addressing the inequalities and marginalization within the country. Because when I think of library, I think of a place where there is a universal access to information. So we provide access to information to everyone within the country. And you know, sometimes you find that people, they need to have access to information, but for some reason they are not able to get that particular information. But with the existence of the library, we believe that people can be able to obtain information, largely because our libraries, some of our community libraries are based in the community. So people don't have to travel a distance for us to have access to information. And I think this is one of the most important things that we need to emphasize, to say the library must be at a place where everybody can be able to enjoy the benefits of the service provided by the library. And we also talk about the global knowledge network. So with the library, it's a space where people are able to get access to, you know, connection and be able to connect with the world out there. And also the issue of the digital divide. Some people, especially in rural areas, they don't have resources for them to enjoy the benefits of access to information. And with the libraries, I think that's where people will be able to get access to that information. And the library can also be community spaces where people can meet and engage. We've seen over the past where the libraries will organize some events just for celebration. It could be a youth event, or it could be any form of celebration where people will gather in the library and engage on critical issues. And also access to resources. We talk about the access to electronic resources, and also the hard copy resources for people to engage and be able to improve their lives. So therefore, the existence of libraries in every community should not be seen as a privilege, because you remember we are in South Africa, and the access to information is actually a human right. It's not only a human right, it's in fact a socio economic right. So people need access to information so that they can be economically active. So in April 2022, we experienced a rainfall in KZN. And that rainfall actually triggered the floods in the area, and it resulted in the damage of the infrastructure. And some people are of the view that some of, events of that nature are still coming. We are still going to experience them in future. And now the question that remains at the center stage of our cerebellum is whether the municipalities were ready for that, and how those municipalities were able to repair the damage, and how can the people get access to that information so that at least they will be in a position to prepare for any future a disaster. So that information should be made available to the public. That's what we talk about, the open government. The information should be made available for access by the public so that they can be in a position to inform some of the decisions that they would want to make. So now let's move to the United States of America. So in response to the devastating destruction of hurricane, that actually caused a lot of distractions in some of the areas in the United States. The President Obama's administration supported the idea of all federal records being stored and accessed freely through portals. So because they know that that disaster may happen in future. So what they wanted to do, they wanted to collect all the information in terms of how the disaster started and how the country have managed to recover from that disaster. So that information is necessary for future use. So they wanted to create a portal where everybody can have access to that information free without paying anything, because remember, here we are talking about the development. So when you talk about the development and community engagement, it means that you should not charge people for them to access the information that can contribute towards their daily lives. So United Nations e-government also found that in the period between 2014 and 2020, the number of countries within the OGD portal has increased significantly. So what that means is that there's an increase in terms of the number of the countries that initiated the open government data portals. And that has increased from 46 to 153. So it's a question of where are we as a country in South Africa? Are we also part of these statistics? So this is a picture of an instruction that has been made from the Office of the President in the United States, ordering all the heads of departments to ensure that they collect, they organize, and they preserve all the necessary information that has to do with the hurricane that happened in the United States. So they wanted to collect all this information and house them in one portal where people can just go through the portal and access all these records without having to visit different sites to get access to the information. That is why it's important for us to have a one portal where we can collect and organize. And because the most important part or the most good part about the portal is that they are organized in such a way that it becomes easy for people to have access to all sorts of data sets and be able to comprehend and understand what the information that contained in those portal. So in terms of the conceptual underpinning, when we talk about the open government data or the open government, our definition it's being guided by these documents that you see on your screen. The first one is the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, the Agenda 2030. And then the second one is the National Development Plan. The third one is the Promotion of Access to Information Act. And then we also talk about the Batopele Principle, which is our government service charter. So our definition of open government is based on these key documents that you see on your screen. Although someone might have a different definition of the open government, but for the context or for the purpose of this study, when we talk about the open government, we talk about the open government in as far as these documents are concerned. So now, what is the open government? So the open government deals with the sharing of information freely without any discrimination. And you can't talk about the open government without mentioning accountability, transparency, public participation, and integrity. So what happens with the open government is that there is a belief that government institutions are sustained by the tax. You are paying tax for the government institutions to operate. And you know, as a result of that, you expect accountability. You need to know what are the decisions that are taken within the government, and you need your political leaders, or you need people who are in charge of the government institution to account for each and every cent that they have spent. And also, we talk about the issue of transparency. They need to be transparent. That's when the open data portal comes in. So the government must share the information with the people. And the better way to share that information is through the government portal, because we don't want a situation where people will need to travel a distance for us to get access to the information. So with the portal, if you have access to the internet, you can simply log in and get access to that information. And I've already mentioned the importance of the portal, or the good part about the portal is that the information is structured and it's organized in a way that it can be easily understood. And of course, we are working within the courtesy of the information and communication technology. So the ICT have changed the manner in which we create, we organize, we share, we disseminate, we maintain, and we arrange the information. So when you talk about the open government, you must also you must also appreciate the importance of the important role that the ICT is playing for us to be able to engage or to share and disseminate information that is important for the development. So these are the principles of open government. The first one is the effective participation. That talks about the involvement in government projects. To what extent are the libraries involved in the projects of government? And there I'm just asking questions to say, are we using the libraries as the venues for civic engagement, where people will come to the library and engage on critical issues? probably there might be a lot of activities that are happening within your library, but to what extent are we aligning those activities with the concept of open government or the open data? And then the second one is the issue of transparency and accountability. That one talks about the account for actions and decisions. So what role are we playing in the library to ensure that there is accountability and transparency? And there I'm asking a question whether we remove restrictions for people to access information. Are we making the information available for the public without any restriction? And the restriction in this case can be financial or the economic status or whatever the restriction that you can think of. Are we actually advocating for the issue of transparency and accountability? The third one is the issue of open data. So that one talks about the free data which must be made available on the web. So you collect the information, you post it on the web, and the people are able to access that information. That's it deals with the issue of the open data portal. So can the libraries play a part in this case by coordinating the government information portal? There's quite a number of government information portals that are available for access. Are we playing a role to coordinate those government information portals? But even if we don't necessarily coordinate them, are we making a contribution for those portals so that people will be able to get access to the information? And then the fourth one, you talk about the access and simplicity. Communicate information in simple and easy to understand the language. So that's why I mentioned that with regard to the government, with regard to the open data portal, we organize information in such a way that it can be easy and simple for people to have access to that information. But then the question is, what role are we playing as a librarians or as the libraries to ensure that there is access, and not only access, but equal access? Because what we do in the library, we are also serving the marginalized group. To what extent are we making sure that those people benefit from the information that they can obtain from the portal? And the issue of collaboration and creation. Do we have the policies and the practices that encourage the issue of collaboration and coordination? The collaboration and creation. What role can the libraries contribute towards the collaboration? Are we collaborating with other important stakeholders like the academic institutions? It doesn't matter what type of the library. The issue of collaboration with academic institutions may not be limited to the academic libraries. Even community libraries, there are some of the projects that you are undertaking which you can collaborate with the academic institution. I'm only mentioning the academic institution here, but there might be other important stakeholders that you can think of for the purpose of collaboration. So the context. We've got this organization called the Open Government Partnership. So they normally call it a movement, but it is an established organization because it has got the executive and the leadership. And the good part about that is that South Africa is actually the founding member of the Open Government Partnership. And some of the co-founders of the organization, we've got the Brazil, we've got Indonesia, we've got Mexico, we've got Norway, we've got Philippines, and United Kingdom and the United States. So these are the founding members of the Open Government Partnership. And so far, the organization is comprised of 75 member states, including civil society organizations. So what happens is that when a country wants to join an open government partnership, they need to assess your level of open government within the country. So they've got a checklist that they use to assess each and every country that is interested to join the open government partnership. And they don't only assess you when you want to join, they also assess you as time goes. Even when you are a member, from a year in and year out, they will come and do another assessment. And if they realize that you are no longer contributing towards the open government, and then they can terminate your membership. So they look at quite a number of issues that each and every country needs to do for that country to qualify to be the member of the open government partnership. And the most important part is the issue of public participation. To say, as a country, especially democratic country, are we giving people enough chance for them to participate in the projects of government? And also the involvement of the civil society organizations. Because when you talk about the democracy, that is why they call it a government of the people, by the people, for the people. So in a democratic country, people are in charge. That is why the very same people must be engaged and consulted from time to time to get to understand some of their needs from their different communities. So the other important thing here is the issue of the promotion of access to information. That is also one of the elements that they use to assess to assess whether a country qualifies to be a member. So there's quite a lot of elements that they look at to assess the eligibility to join the organization. And I've already mentioned South Africa is the founding member of that organization. And what does that mean? So it means that we must lead by example. And leading by example, I'm referring to everyone who has got the role to acquire, process, disseminate, and all sorts of things related to information. We are expected to be the champion of open government partnership. So what happens with the open government partnership? Every year, each country needs to develop an action plan and come up with a list of some of the commitments that the country is intending to do in as far as open government is concerned. And when you look at these action plans that have been developed by different countries, we identified that different types of libraries are mentioned in more than 30 commitments. Because remember, one action plan might have 7 commitments. So that is what I'm saying. Different types of libraries, whether community library, public library, they are all mentioned in 30 commitments. It means that these libraries have got a role to play in assisting the country to achieve the open government targets or open government deliverables. Libraries and Information Association can either assist other agencies with the implementation of their commitments or lead the initiatives, because we are not operating alone. We are affiliated to the associations. This association can also make contributions And by association, I'm referring to associations such as LIASA, which has actually brought us here today. So they can also make a contribution towards the open government initiatives. For example, the Library and Archives in Canada is a lead implementing institution. So they are leading the implementation of the commitment to increase access to government records. In South Africa, which library is involved in any of the commitment that is being listed under the action plan for the country? So these are some of the questions that we seriously need to engage, because remember, there's quite a lot of expectations from the country in as far as the open government initiatives are concerned. So now South Africa is sitting at the 4th action plan. So since the open government partnership started, South Africa has now developed the 4th action plan. But when you look at that action plan, it's not saying anything about the contribution of libraries. And what does that mean? Are we saying that the country is not appreciating the role or the service that the libraries can offer in terms of the open government? And these are some of the things that we need to reflect and also check what are the things that we are doing wrong and what area that needs improvement, so that we can all be on board and contribute towards the open government. Here is the problem. You can call it a challenge or challenges. So opening of government data has the potential to reconnect citizens with government projects. So when you open up data, you are actually allowing space for the communities to engage in government projects. But now when you decide to keep your cards close to your chest, communities will not know what are the projects that you are doing as government. So when you open that data, you are actually bringing them close to the government project so that they can engage and participate in those projects. That's what we call it a public participation. But the problem is that the use of open data continue to be limited. And it is limited because of several factors, such as lack of awareness. Maybe people are not even aware that there is this portal where I can get access to information. It could be an information related to health or related to job opportunities or an information related to academic or bursary opportunities. They are not aware that such information exists, or they are not aware as to where and how they can access that information. We also talk about the inequality in the internet access. Not everyone has got access to internet. That is where the libraries come in. Because we mentioned that the libraries are for all. We are not selective in terms of the service. That is why I always regard library as a public good. You know, when you are a public good, you don't select as to who must get access to your service. You render the service to everyone. So what role are we playing to ensure that everyone have got access to internet and everyone has got access to information that they can use to improve their lives? I've been asking these questions, and now they are projected on your screen just as a matter of reflection. What projects are public libraries doing which may be considered as open government initiative? Because remember, we are saying we need to play a role. Currently, what are we doing? How can libraries foster active citizenship within the communities they operate in? These libraries are operating in communities. How do we empower those communities to ensure that they exercise active citizenship, which, for lack of a better word, can be categorized as public participation? Do we see ourselves as the custodians of open government? This one is very much important. Because if we don't see ourselves as the custodians of open government, then surely I don't think there is anything that we can do towards open government, because we believe it is not our space. So when you go through the open government data plan for South Africa, these are some of the portals that we have in the country. Maybe you need to go through this portal and just enjoy the benefit of access to information and see if there is anything that can be helpful for you, and not only for you, but also for the communities that you are serving. Because remember, people will be coming to the library to request for information. So these are some of the open data portals that we have in the country as part of the open government data initiatives. Not so sure if you remember the Lyon Declaration. So, which was drafted by IFLA and other libraries and information service partners. In fact, the reason why this declaration was drafted was because the IFLA and other library and information service partners realized that when you look at the United Nations Agenda 2030, which is the Sustainable Development Goals, they realized that access to information is one of the key elements that is not actually clearly coming out, but when you check all those goals, they are reliant on access to reliable, trusted, and well-researched information. So what they wanted to do was to influence the policy directions of the United Nations, especially the member states of the United Nations, to make a commitment, or to make or the UN itself to make an international commitment for the sustainable development to ensure that everyone has not only access to information, but is also able to understand, use, and share the information that is required to promote the sustainable development and democratic societies. People need to have access to information so that they can be economically active and improve their lives. I think that is what what is actually the main goal of the Sustainable Development Goals? To what extent are the libraries making a contribution to ensure that people are able to read and understand and share the information? This year, we attended the National Reading Summit organized by the National Library of South Africa. And there were quite some shocking revelations in terms of number of learners who can read for meaning in the country. I understand some of the libraries in the country are facilitating the reading or the book clubs. Perhaps that's some of the things that we can consider as as we try to engage in public participation. So we need to make a meaningful contribution to the communities that we are serving. So linking the libraries with the Sustainable Development Goals. I'm sure we can all agree that access to information has the potential to reduce poverty. Sometimes you are not working, or sometimes you are not economically active because you don't have access to information that can help you to know if there are vacancies or if there are any opportunities. It also has the potential to improve the sustainable development. A reading nation, it's an empowered nation. So you need information for you to improve your life. And also it can assist you to maintain the dignity. You know, when you have access to information, you will even be confident to share whatever that you understand or whatever that you have experienced, because you have unlimited access to information. And you can even be independent or even autonomous because you are actually empowered. We are the champions of equitable access to information because we don't discriminate. We share the information with anyone. And we promote public participation within the communities that we are operating in. So that is why it was critical for the IFLA to confront the United Nations to say, we think you are sidelining the libraries and you are making a very big mistake. Because we have the contribution to make in these sustainable development goals that you are promoting. In terms of the stats, this is the numbers of the libraries that we have in the country. The information was obtained from the IFLA library map, and the definition was sourced from the International Standard for Organization. We've got 2 national libraries, Pretoria and Cape Town. In the world, we've got about 356 national libraries. There is the number of the public libraries, because remember, we've got different types of libraries within the country. the number may not be accurate because as time goes, these numbers are changing. And it also depends on whether we are updating the library map in terms of the numbers of the libraries that we have in the country. Okay. The national priorities. So we are operating within a country called South Africa. And that country also, despite the United Nations and all sorts of sustainable development goals, we also have our own national priorities. And all these priorities are listed under the National Development Plan, Agenda 2030. So if we are saying we've got a contribution for the UN Sustainable Development Goals, then I have no doubt whatsoever to mention that we also have a contribution towards the national priorities. And what happens in South Africa is that we've got the National Development Plan, which talks about the priorities of the country for up to 2030. But every year, when the president provides the State of the Nation address, he reviews or he comes up with the priorities for that particular year. But those priorities will always be taken from the National Development Plan. So we need to associate ourselves with all these priorities and see how we can make a contribution. Because, you know, unfortunately, we are operating in a country where for you to justify your existence, you need to tell us what contribution are you making to the national priorities. That is why I always encourage my students to say, if you want to do a groundbreaking research, you must align it to the national priorities. And the same practice is also done by the National Research Foundation. The National Research Foundation, when they review application for funding, they only fund the research that is aligned to the National Development Plan or the national priorities. So if you are doing a research that is outside that scope, then you are not making a contribution for the country towards the attainment of the National Development Plan. That is why I'm saying, for you to justify your existence, you need to align your service to the National Development Plan. The list is there. It's health, international government, rural economy, and all those things. What contribution are we making? Way forward. These are the possible open data initiatives that can be considered by the libraries. The first one is the open data portal. In this case, we can collaborate with government, or we can even initiate our own data portal. Let's say, for example, you are a library based in Polokwane, in Limpopo, maybe one of the rural areas, maybe Ramalep. And when you check the number of queries that you get from your patrons or the library users, you find that they actually have got a similar problem. Maybe it's the problem with regard to water crisis, or it's any kind of problems that they normally come to the library to inquire about. And then you, based on that information, you can be able to realize that, no, there's something wrong here. Maybe we need a portal where people can get access to that information, which is organized and structured in a manner. So remember, as a librarian, you need to understand your community. If it comes to a need, you can even provide that information in the language that they understand. Second one is the data curation and management. So we need to curate our information in such a way that it will accelerate quick access. The third one is the data literacy program. We need to empower our citizens to enable them with the skills so that they can be able to search information on their own. Not only searching the information, but they must be in a position to interpret it. We need to be the advocates of the open data. If it comes to a push, we need to preach gospel about open data policies. Collaboration is key. We can't do this alone because it will take quite a lot of resources. We need to collaborate with the important stakeholders. Sometimes you can even come up with the idea and not even use any of your resources for that idea. You simply approach any organization that you think can benefit your library in as far as the open data is concerned. And we must also advocate for open access resources. So with that, you can promote open access databases. The databases that people can just go through and get access to information without paying a cent. There will obviously be challenges. Load shedding is obvious. That's one of the things that unfortunately they are beyond anyone's control. So there will always be load shedding that cause disruption in terms of access to information. Do we have the necessary skills? Maybe we need to re-evaluate our skills and see if we can actually administer some of this open data portal. We also talk about the issue of the leadership and capacity. Are our leaders actually aware, or are our leaders capacitated to provide support for us to contribute towards the open data initiatives? Internet. Our libraries have access to uninterrupted internet service. Not only access to the internet, but uninterrupted. Is the internet available every day, every minute, or every second? Digital skills. And digital skills goes in both ways. The issue of digital skills on the side of the librarians, and also the issue of digital skills in terms of the people that we are serving. Do they have the necessary skills to have access to that? And that's where we come in as the librarians. We need to ensure that we empower our people to use all these technological devices for them to have access to information. We can even collaborate with other important stakeholders for training, or we can conduct trainings ourselves. In closure, open data movement, it's all about what we do in our respective libraries. We are all the open data champions, but we just don't realize that. So maybe it's about time that we influence the policy direction of the country in as far as the open data is concerned. So with what happened with regard to the Lyon Declaration, maybe it's something that we must also consider for our Department of Public Administration, which is the department coordinating the open data in our country. It's very wrong for us to have the action plan with all sorts of priorities and the responsibilities and not mention anything to do with the libraries. Does that mean we need to submit our own declaration to the department? Maybe that is the question that we need to engage. Are we on board, or we choose to be the spectators? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mujapelo. Colleagues, can we give a round of applause to our guest speaker? Thank you very much, colleagues. Without wasting time, we'll quickly move to our fifth item, which will be deliberations. Dr. Buluga, can you please lead us on this item?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ndu. Rena Mujapelo, we really appreciate your contribution today in as far as public library services are concerned. There's something that captured my attention as you were concluding to say, are we actually choosing to be spectators enough? Good people, Dr. Mujapelo, really, can librarians be participants or the spectators in libraries in this era of open government? He provided a setting there and talked about the issues of digital divide, the community spaces, access to information, because we need to have access to information in libraries. He also talked about the issue of environmental challenges like the floods in KZN. And now, as we are going to deliberate, let us think out of the box as to how are we going to deal with these kind of issues in future if they happen to us. He mentioned again the principles of open government as well as the issues of SDGs. Now I'm going to open a floor for you colleagues to ask questions because we have an expert with us, Dr. Mujapelo. He also mentioned the issues of lack of awareness on which data is available and how to access it. Are we making our services accessible to our users, or do we forever have issues around accessibility? I know for sure there is access to information, internet, in public libraries. I know you are issuing out some 30 minutes vouchers to library users. Are they using them effectively, or what is happening? The time is yours now. Those who have questions, let us hear what you want to say to us. Thank you. You can also post on the chats if you are able to. Any question?
SG Secretary, Dr. Buluka.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. I just want to first start by thanking our good doctor for a well articulated presentation, whereby it is very informing to us, especially when he talked about sustainable developmental goals and national priorities, national developmental plan. So I just want to ask a question to say, as libraries are addressing the inequalities and marginalization, how best can we as librarians advocate for libraries to enjoy adequate resources, especially those in rural communities, and getting the privilege of enjoying adequate libraries in the country, particularly those that are marginalized? Thanks.
Thank you, Tate Malevana. Can I have another question? Or Dr. Mujapel, do you want to respond as they ask questions?
Yes, I can do that.
Okay.
Okay. Thank
Over
you so much, Mr. Malevana, for such a very good question. I think it's a very important question because what I know since I became a librarian, I'm regarding myself as a librarian by profession. It's very unfortunate that we found ourselves in a situation where everyone is complaining about the resources. I've engaged with quite a lot of librarians, and I think they are not happy with the resources, and it brings us back to the issue of the National Development Plan, because it's very unfortunate that when government do their plans and the priorities, they only target institutions that are making contributions towards the National Development Plan. So that is why I even mentioned that we need to justify our existence, because at the end of the day, we will always have problems where we have the budget cuts. So it's up to us as the librarians to say, are we really going to make a contribution, or are we really going to justify our contribution? Because even if you can go out and look for funding or for any financial support, you will always come across the issue of the national priority. So we must also embrace the issue of collaboration, because I indicated that collaboration is very key. We can't do everything. We've got limited resources. Can't we engage or collaborate with other public or private entities that share our vision as the libraries? So perhaps that is some of the things that we need. And I know there's quite a lot of organizations that are really embracing the issue of collaboration. And UNISA is one of them. That is why in UNISA we've got what we call the community engagement, where we engage and collaborate with communities out there. I'm just mentioning UNISA because I know about that, but there might be other institutions that are willing to collaborate and engage so that we deal with the issue of marginalization and inequality. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mojapelo. Mr. Malebana, are you answered?
Yes, I'm very, very answered. Thank you very much.
Great. Any other question? I don't see anything in the chat so far. Any other question?
Dr. Buluka.
Tovela.
Thank you very much. I think I have a question here.
Yes.
I think let me start by thanking the good doctor for such a well-articulated presentation. From my side, I learned a lot because working in a community library, we're faced with a variety of challenges. We are faced with community members coming from different backgrounds. And what sparked my attention from the presentation was the principles of good of open government, and transparency and accountability was one of them, as well as collaboration. And from transparency and accountability, what I picked was that those who are working within municipal libraries, after the municipal council adopting the final IDP, they usually print out a copy and then they take that copy and then give it to the library, to all the libraries within that particular municipality. And it remains the responsibility of the librarian to share with the community that adopted IDP. So what I noticed is that we don't usually share that IDP because most of the librarians, as Dr. Mujapelo has already said, that we are having challenges of ICT skills, and that led to us not giving the community that information, because the adopted IDP must be shared to the community. And again, it goes back to the collaboration, is that if we collaborate with the ward councillors, the ward committees, and the community structures such as the formal and informal NGOs or the NPOs, we must ensure that we share that document with them. So my question is that, how do we deal with librarians who are not sharing such important information with the community? Because that information must be shared with the community to ensure that they participate in all the municipal activities. So my question is that, how do we deal with such librarians? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mojapelo. Dr. Mojapelo, can you respond,
Dr.
please?
Buluka?
Yes,
Sorry,
doctor.
Sorry for interruption, doctor. I would like to ask Dr. Mojapelo to switch on his camera if he doesn't mind. So in case of those who do not know him, maybe we have an opportunity to see him. If you don't mind, doctor, you can switch on your camera while you are deliberating on this issue. Only if you don't mind. Thank you.
Let's hope he doesn't
I don't
mind.
but you know, my camera has been giving me problem. Can you see me?
Not yet.
Yeah, it's been giving me problems. So I don't know what's wrong. I think I need to take it to IT for them to assist, because And I even thought it will work for Zoom, because I normally have a problem with the Microsoft Team. The Zoom, I haven't been using Zoom in a while. I've switched it on now, but you can't see anything. So I don't know.
Okay, it's fine, Doctor.
I know that's fine, Doctor.
Yeah, my apologies for that.
Okay, Doctor.
Yeah, I think it's something to do with the softwares and problem with our institution. You can't just download this because it's a new laptop, and I think I need to get assistance from the IT with regard to that.
Or Chair,
So-
Chair, if you have his picture, Chair, you can share with us so that those who don't know him, we can see him.
Irikinya ke fast mo.
Yes, apologies for just chipping in, Mohali here.
Right. Thank you. Can I respond to the question?
Okay.
Let me just switch off this video because it's not helping. All right. So thank you so much, Mr. Mujapelu, for your question, and it's I think it's a very important question. Obviously, we are all librarians, and we might not share the same vision in terms of what is it that we need to do, because I believe if they are not able to share that information with the public, they are actually denying them access to information. They are actually violating their rights of access to information, because remember I mentioned that the access to information is not a privilege in this country. So when you provide information to the public, you are not doing them any favor, because they are entitled to that information. But the moment you just decide to keep information with you and not share it with the public, then you are actually violating their rights. And that is against the principle of maximum disclosure, because the principle of maximum disclosure, as far as the freedom of information is concerned, it talks about the opening up information. Even before people can come to you to request that information, you must make it available to them. And PAIA is also promoting that. Our freedom of information legislation, PAIA, it's saying people should not always come to you to request the information. You must proactively disclose the information without them having to go through all the necessary process, because it's quite a process for you to get access to information through PAIA. And now if you decide to keep that information to you, you are saying people must request it through the formal channels. So it's very wrong, and perhaps what needs to be done it's for these people to to engage within the branch, within the LIASA, and engage and on how obviously those people, they might be the members of the association, because I think the association must also play a role to ensure that people are doing what they are required to do. LIASA is one of the signatories of the Lyon Declaration. Even other library associations like the American Library Association, they are the signatories of that declaration. So it means that LIASA is part of the collective that said they think the libraries can contribute towards the sustainable development goal. But now if we've got somebody who is supposedly a member of the association and who doesn't want to share that information, then the association must come in and engage the individual. I think that's the only possible solution that we can have for these people who are not sharing? Because we can't say, go to the public and tell them to request the information via through the formal channels, through PAIA. They must submit application, and we are talking about vulnerable people here. We're talking about people who don't have access to resources. Unless if the librarians can lodge a request on behalf of the, but it's now prolonging the process. That process was supposed to be short, but people, they just decide to prolong it by keeping the information close to their chest. That is public information. And it's not a private information, it's information. That is why even when they share it with the librarian, they share it with the librarian with the hope that libraries are promoting equal access to information. So I think it's something that needs to be engaged at the association level. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mujapelo. Can you please stop sharing your screen? Mr. Mujapelo, are you answered? Do we have any other question from the floor?
I'm answered. Thank you very much, SG.
Okay. Those who do not know Dr. Mujapelo, I'm actually sharing his picture now. And just to inform some of you, we'll be celebrating his achievement on the 26th of October. But Dr. Mujapelo, you didn't tell me that I shouldn't share this with colleagues. Ne? So colleagues, you are invited.
Not a problem. It's 26 August, not October. August, next month.
August, yeah, okay. Any other question?
We are happy to finally meet Dr. Mujapelo.
Yane.
Yeah, and another thing is, I think it will be important for Eleanor to tell us when the coding be available, because I'm getting requests in relation to it. And I think the others, I think maybe they don't want to ask, but I hear the question. They want to know if it's taken or is available, because yeah, stuff like that.
Hey, Mujapelo. Minister in presidency. He has got 2 beautiful daughters, so he's unavailable. Oh, Dr. Mujapelo, are you still available? Maybe you have space in Yana that I'm not aware of.
No, you've answered the question, Honorable Woloka.
Sorry, Dr. Woloka, I think there are hands that are up.
Okay, let me stop sharing. Yeah, okay. Mama Klepa, and then Mzwandile, you will follow.
Thank you, Dr. Woloka. Am I audible enough?
Yes, dear.
Okay, before I arrive to my question to Dr. Mujapelo, I'll get Northwest before we get Unis. Our work as librarians and the programs that we do, they contribute a lot to the communities. However, the problem is that there's no enough marketing for our programs. We do a lot, but whatever we do, it ends where the librarian is stationed. So people are still used to the old way of marketing. So to justify our existence, we need to change our marketing strategy. What I mean by that is that we go to radio stations. There are TikTok, there's Twitter, there's Facebook. However, where we work, there are policies that restrict us from sharing such information without consulting the relevant people. However, the relevant people, they take time to respond to our queries when we want to share this information with our fellow colleagues or everyone out there who can see that we still have libraries which are adding value to the communities, to people around or wherever they are. So I just want to urge our librarians to say, let's engage with the management to say, how about we change our marketing strategies to share our programs? I've seen many librarians in Limpopo who are doing very well when it comes to activities that are benefiting the communities. And right now, we also have the National Librarian. We also have issues or programs as the National Libraries. But until we have people who are working there, we don't see such things. So sometimes we might end up saying maybe the National Librarian is not contributing or doing anything there. Or we can say a certain library is not doing anything because whatever they are doing there, it's not reaching the people who are supposed to see that the work, the good work of the library. So also during the lockdown, our libraries were closed, public libraries. With the users could not access the libraries due to insufficient resources. So in our case in Northwest, fortunately, they introduced e-books after some levels of lockdown were lowered. So to my question to the doctor or to everyone is to say, will we ever reach a point whereby public libraries can be accessed even after hours for people who are looking for information? Also noting the issue that we have a library system now. Library systems, I don't know how far you are in Limpopo, but our system, the users cannot use the system to access some of the information. And some of the information that users need, it's not on the system. It can only be accessed by physically visiting the libraries. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mama Klepa. Dr. Mujapilu, can you please respond? Or anyone with an answer, please.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mama Klepa. Yeah, you are raising very critical points in as far as the marketing of the library services is concerned, because that's actually one of the critical elements in terms of justifying our existence. Because when you are saying you are a library, or let's say, for example, a community library or a public library, but then people are not, they don't get access to your service, largely because they are not even aware of whether those services actually exist in the library, then that becomes a problem, because you are not actually supposed to serve the people that you are supposed to be serving, and that is a problem. It's a serious problem. But then you touched base on some of the marketing strategies that can be considered, and you highlighted there's a challenge with regard to, I don't know whether it's the leadership within the libraries. You are saying you need to get permission for that. But let's say, for example, you organize what you call, you organize an event in the library. Maybe you organize something that promotes the culture of reading. It's something that has to do with the library service, or with the offering within the library. I don't know why it should be a challenge for you to share that information. I don't know the environment under which some of the libraries operate in, but that's a very good project where you need to share across. It could be via the social media platforms or any other platform, because what we know with the library is that the librarians understand the needs of the users, and when you understand their needs and you understand the environment under which they operate in, you will obviously use some of the resources, or you will use some of the channels or the platforms for us to advertise your services. And you mentioned the issue of Facebook, you mentioned the issue of TikTok, maybe probably because you know that your users are actually using those platforms. But now if you have to go and get permission from someone who might even know or understand your users, then it becomes a problem. But to address that issue, maybe we can use we can take advantage of collaboration. We can't run away from collaboration. If you have a very good project that you believe it's going to take you forever for you to get approval to advertise it, why not collaborating with other organizations? You can collaborate with the organizations that will not have problems to advertise or to market that particular problem. But the problem with that, it may only be a short-term solution, because the library exists forever. So you will always be there. Collaboration can change. Today you can collaborate with other organization. Tomorrow it's a different organization altogether. So that will change. But I think as part of a short-term solution, you can do that. If maybe your library is saying you can't put the logo or whatever, anything to do with our library without the approval, then you remove that from whatever the marketing document that you will be doing. So I don't know the environment under which some of the libraries operate within, but it's very much important, because you need to advertise your service and you must use the channels that you know most of our users are likely to be found. It's very unfortunate that the libraries have to go through all these frustrations and maybe that might be the reason why people are not even aware of the libraries. You know, some people, they believe that anyone can be a librarian. It's an unfortunate truth. There's quite a lot of people who believe that it takes just a person to be a librarian. You don't need to acquire any form of skills or any qualification for you to organize and work in the library. Because people have not been exposed to that. They don't really understand what we are doing. We are denying them an opportunity to come to the library and get access to the information. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Mujapilo. Mr. Mama Jepa, are you sorted?
Dr. Uluka, no, not yet. The last part to say, will we ever reach a point where library is accessible to the users in the community, even after hours? Because the system that we are currently using, it doesn't allow us to do that.
Dr. Mujapilo, do you see
yes,
libraries operating 24/7?
When you say the system does not allow you to work after working hours, are you referring to the library system? It just kick you out. Is that what you are trying to say?
That it doesn't have resources, electronic resources that users can access without remotely. So we use it only to capture, circulate, and all that. But there are some times where maybe a user might need information. Maybe it's not the relevant platform, but like in universities where you can just talk to the librarian, request a book or e-books, then they recommend or share such. Yeah. So it's just to look at it from the side of public libraries going forward.
Yeah, no, that's a very critical point, because we are also saying people should have uninterrupted access to the information, and maybe that's where the issue of e-books comes in, but it will obviously comes with quite a lot of resources. You will need to invest in resources for that, and when you are saying the libraries do not have enough resources, then it will become a serious challenge for you to get access to those resources. But we must also advocate the issue of open, what do you call, the open access databases. I think the library must also try and advise the community members to take advantage of the open access database. But the problem is they may not be able to do that, because especially libraries based in rural areas where people might have challenges with regard to the issue of data bundles and all sorts of internet connection. But yeah, so I think that can only work for the library, unless if there is an opportunity for us to for the libraries to collaborate with other universities that, or with other libraries that are able to provide service even beyond the normal working hours. Yeah, so for now I can only think of the open access databases that we can, just have a list and share that with the library, with the library users, so that they can have uninterrupted access to the service. And you also mentioned the issue of libraries closing during the lockdown, and that, I think, it's also a critical point. And it's I understand, maybe people who are working in that libraries, they for them it might be something that I don't know the circumstances under which that had happened. But probably as the librarian, you might think that maybe it was some time off for you from the normal business of the library. But that has actually destroyed the status of the library within the country, because you can't close the library in such a critical a time when people will need access to information, so that they can empower ourselves. They can empower themselves and get to understand the COVID-19 and all sorts of critical issues that they would want to read and understand. So that's unfortunate, and I think it's something that maybe we've learned from it. And now when you have to come and justify your existence, there's no way you can convince maybe someone who has got the power in terms of allocating funds for the library to say, we serve the communities, but you were closed. The library was closed, and people did not have access to that library. So it's very unfortunate that it had happened, unless if those libraries were able to assist the library users remotely. But I doubt that was actually happening, but it's very unfortunate. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mujapeli. Good people, in interest of time, there was a hand from that Mzwandile. Mzwandile, can you ask that question in 2 seconds only? And Dr. Mujapeli responds in 2 seconds only, so that we move on to another item. Those who still have questions, you can just post them in the chats. I think Dr. Mujapeli will respond even after this meeting. Thank you. Mujapeli, in 2 seconds, please.
Okay, no, thank you, Dr. I think it's best that I will just withdraw my questions for now, but just as a comment to share with actually the presentation and what we actually everyone was speaking about in this session is that it's unfortunate. Dr. Mujapulu has said it many times. It's unfortunate, and I think for us to be able to accelerate, the issue of access to information, especially in our public libraries, we need to take public libraries out of class departments. If we can do that, we either have our own department or take the public libraries to the National Library, it will be quite faster. I think you have heard from the other speakers speaking about the challenges and seeking ideas in terms of how do we go about addressing that. But I think for another time, I think I will take my questions and then withdraw in the interest of time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thanks everyone for your deliberations. I see there are questions in the chats. We will address that as we go on with the program. Chendo, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Woloka. Without wasting time, let's move to our next item, where Mr. Mujapilu will give us announcement. Over to you, Mr. Mujapilu, LS.
Thank you very much, Chair-elect Dr. Ndo. The announcements are as follows. Number one, the LIASA 2023 conference. I urge all members to register for the LIASA, for the upcoming LIASA conference, which will be held from the 10th to the 13th of October 2023. The conference will be held at Cape Town, Lord Charles Hotel. And then the closing date for the online registration will be on the 29th of September 2023. And all registration fees must be paid by the 22nd of September. Yeah, so if you don't pay by the 22nd, you must make sure that, if you don't register online on the 29th, you must make sure that on the 28th going forward, when you register, you make the payments immediately. And then again, membership, I urge all members, I urge all the librarians in Limpopo to join LIASA. This is our only professional body that we have. So I urge you all to join this professional body. And then another thing, we're going to have the research methodology workshop on the 28th of July 2023. The link will be shared with all the members. And please make sure that you avail yourselves, or also please tell your fellow librarians or information specialists in the province to make sure that they avail themselves for this research methodology workshop. And again, in August, you're going to have the cataloging and classification workshop as well. So information pertaining to this will be shared with all the members. So thank you very much for attending this. And then lastly, I think most of you are waiting for the most important announcement, which is refreshments. So refreshments will be shared virtually. Thank you very much. Over to you, Dr. Ndo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mujapilu. I would like to ask Ceci Jemina Klesha to give us vote of thanks.
Sorry, Chair.
Okay.
Yes, I wanted to add on Mujapilu there to say the conference is also available virtually. If colleagues are not able to go to the conference physically, they can attend virtually. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Malibana. Ceci
Oh, yes. Thank you so much, Doctor. Colleagues, allow me to take this time to appreciate our keynote speaker. Thank you, Dr. Mujapulu, for the detailed presentation that we had. We are informed. Thank you to everyone who attended. Thank you, LIASA Limpopo ESCO, for planning this and actually executing the Librarians Day celebration. And also thank you, LIASA NLO, for giving us this platform to host such an event. Thank you so much. The next time we say we have something, please also join. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Janina. Without wasting time, we're about to close our event. As LIASA Limpopo branch EXCO members, we truly appreciate serving you and cannot wait to meet with you next. We wish you all a very good day. To our EXO members, I would like to ask you maybe to stay connected for the next 5 minutes. Maybe we can chat for a few minutes. So for the rest of us, once again, thank you for attending this event. Till we meet again, goodbye.